I'm not going to tell you to give up Starbucks. Well, at least not yet. In this video, I'm going to go over how you can best improve your personal finances and set yourself up for success. Now, my name is Cairo. I'm doing a $1 million hustle challenge, trying to get my net worth to over $1 million within the next 3 years. And I'm going to be applying a lot of these principles to my own life as well. So make sure you crush the like button and let's get into it. Now, if you strip it all back, here are the best ways to improve your personal finances. Earn more, invest, spend less. Now, whilst giving up the Starbucks lattes will definitely save you money, I'm talking about first cutting your larger expenses. Call up your phone plan provider, call up your insurance company, call up the utility companies, and negotiate your contract. Now, it costs these companies so much money to acquire a new customer that they are actually very often likely to be willing to renegotiate your terms because they would rather keep you as a customer than to have to spend that money to acquire someone new. So spend a couple of hours calling these companies, speak to the first level of customer service. If they can't help you, ask politely to speak to their superior, and I'm confident that you will end up saving so much money. Now, one of the biggest expenses for pretty much everyone in the world is housing, and that's whether you own your house and you're having to pay a mortgage or whether you are renting. So one of the best ways to reduce your overall spending is to reduce those housing costs. Now, how you can do that? Okay, well, you could live in a slightly less desirable area. That will make a big difference. You can refinance your mortgage. That'll make a big difference. But you can also do something called house hacking or rent hacking. Now, I made a video about how I live rent-free in London, pretty expensive city in the world. So I'll link that up here in the cards. That can pretty much be replicated wherever you live. I'll also put a link down in the description to that video. And essentially what house hacking or rent hacking is that you are subletting a room or part of the house to someone else, and then the money that you're getting from them you can use to offset your mortgage or to offset your total rent expense. House hacking also extends to if you buy a duplex, for example. You live in the one unit and you rent out the other unit, and the income that you get from renting out the other unit pays off your mortgage. Another solid way to spend less is to only get a new upgrade when you absolutely need it. When your current phone stops functioning as you need it to function, or when your computer absolutely packs in, then you can get an upgrade and get the newer model. You'll end up saving so much money just by following those principles. And make sure when you do get a new phone or do get a new computer, try and keep the box and accessories if you have the space to do so, because that'll help increase the resale value so that when you don't need that phone anymore, you can resell it and you can upgrade and get a better model. Now, I did the same. I'm filming this on my iPhone 11 and my iPhone 6 was working pretty good still. It was starting to get slow and the battery life started to die quite a lot, which became a bit inconvenient, especially when on the go. But one of the big factors in me getting the iPhone 11 was that I could use it instead of buying a DSLR camera so that I could make these YouTube videos, at least for a while, until I then need to upgrade to a different camera. A great way to improve your personal finances is by budgeting. You need to figure out what your spending is and where that money is going every month. Now, I used to do this. I got into this good habit when I was a teenager. I would write down pretty old school way, pen and paper, what my little earnings were from my little side jobs and what my expenses were. But nowadays, there are loads of great apps that you can use. Mint is probably one of the most popular ones to track your spending and to budget. Or you can use a spreadsheet like on Excel or in Google Sheets. By budgeting, it'll give you a solid idea of what's happening with your finances on a month-to-month basis and show you examples of where you can improve. Just a quick example, I noticed that my phone provider was starting to charge me more than my contract was for. So I rang them up and I said, "What's going on?" And they couldn't really explain it, so they had to refund me that money. Now, if I was not keeping track of these things, I might not have noticed this for months, being charged all that money and then had a bigger hill to climb in terms of getting refunds. Now, by having made your budget, you will know exactly how much money you need every month to pay for your housing, to pay for your food, to pay for all your bills and living expenses. And once you know that amount, you can create an emergency fund. Now, the emergency fund, that varies. It might be for 3 months, 6 months, a year, depending on how much you want to have saved up in case of an emergency. So if you need $1,500 for all of your expenses in a month and you want to have a 3-month emergency fund, you need to save up in cash $4,500. You can put that into a bank account. You just need it to be readily accessible in case of emergency, and 2020 was pretty big emergency. So having had an emergency fund built up before 2020 would have helped you out a lot this year, giving you more freedom to make decisions. Now, the next way to improve your personal finances is to earn more. Okay, easier said than done, right? I know. But whether you are an employee or whether you work for yourself, there are ways to increase how much money you make. Now, let's say you're an employee. You can negotiate with your boss to either get reduced work hours at the same pay or to incrementally increase the amount of money you get. Now, if you haven't yet, I strongly recommend you check out this book called The 4-Hour Work Week. The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. It's already a bit old now, especially my copy. My copy was secondhand and it's been well used. But basically, he gives a very simple outline of how you can negotiate pay increases with your boss and how you can take more control of your time so that you're not chained to a desk for 40 to 60 hours a week. The book also gives examples for people that are self-employed and how you can hack your life better. One of the ways is through geo-arbitrage. Now, that can be as simple as leaving one state. Let's say you're in California where the taxes are quite high. You could move to Nevada. And if you're earning the same amount of money, you will have more purchasing power in Nevada than you had in California because less of your money is going towards tax. Now, a more extreme example of this is, say, moving to Vietnam, where the cost of living is very cheap. So on the same amount of money that you were earning in the UK or in the US, you can be living like an absolute king or queen in a place like Vietnam. Especially as the world moves more and more towards working online, you can do the same job that you were doing in New York in Vietnam through Zoom and through web conferencing and Slack and Trello and all these apps that you can use to make working remotely more viable. Anyway, the book is really cool. I'll pop a link down in the description if you haven't read it yet. And if you have read it, let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway from the book was. Either way, whether you're an employee or whether you're self-employed, side hustles are where it is at. Now, I've made a couple of videos about side hustles already in the past. I will link a playlist down in the description as well as at the end of this video. And I'll be making way more side hustle videos in the future, so make sure you are subscribed for those. The extra income that you make from the side hustles, you can then use to invest and make that money work for you. And that takes us to investing. So the simplest and arguably most effective way to grow your wealth long term is to buy index funds, hold them for the long term. Now, if you grow a large enough portfolio, you'll be able to comfortably live off your dividend earnings each year. Now, what is an index fund? Well, an index fund tracks the movements of different markets or different segments on a daily basis, and the fees to buy an index fund are generally very low. A good example of this is the Vanguard VOO, and that tracks the S&P 500. So basically, it's tracking the 500 biggest public companies in the United States. And this type of index fund is a good approximation for the total market in the US, is the total stock market in the US. So yes, the stock market goes up, it goes down, but over time, and that's why this is long-term investing, the stock market has increased. And an index fund like this will generally have given you returns of 10% per year. Now, on that note, you can click the link in the description to get 4 free stocks from Webull. So that's basically free money, which is amazing if you're in the US. If you're not in the US, click the link for Trading 212 and get a free stock over there. Now, make sure you crush the like button and subscribe. I'm posting new videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Watch these side hustle videos next and these personal finance videos next. Let's hustle together.